On the 29th anniversary of Ukraine handing over its last nuclear weapons to Russia, Ukrainian intelligence, the SBU, launched what may be the most devastating strike against the Russian Air Force to date. Codenamed Operation Spiderweb, this sabotage mission targeted 4 key Russian airbases hosting nuclear-capable strategic bombers. The targets were Belaya in Siberia, Olenia near Murmansk on the Kola Peninsula, Diaghilevo southeast of Moscow, and Ivanovo to the northeast. Drone footage from the attack shows multiple Tupolev Tu-25 bombers in flames, with thick smoke rising from several aircraft. One video clearly shows at least 3 bombers burning, with an Antonov An-12 transport aircraft also damaged. In another clip, a drone calmly hovers above a Tu-95, lowers itself toward the wing root, the structurally weakest point, and then the feed cuts out, likely at the moment of detonation. The scale of destruction is staggering. Russian military blogger Fighter Bomber described the event as the Black Day of Russian long-range aviation, and he may not be exaggerating. According to the SBU, 41 aircraft were hit, including strategic bombers and transport planes. They claim that 34% of Russia's strategic bomber fleet was affected. So far, visual confirmation exists for 7 Tu-95s and 1 Antonov 12, but only 2 of the targeted bases have been geolocated through video. That means the actual number of destroyed aircraft could be significantly higher. Ukrainian journalist Yuri Butusov reported that this operation was more than a year in the making. Agents smuggled 150 attack drones and 300 explosive charges into Russia. Of those, 116 drones were launched simultaneously across the 4 airbases. Some drones failed, but the vast majority reached their targets. Footage from civilians shows drones launching directly from disguised shipping containers. These containers had false bottoms and were stored in warehouses or on trucks. Some civilians even tried to stop the launches by throwing rocks at the drones, an extremely risky move, considering they were carrying explosives. The drones were reportedly connected to the Russian mobile network and controlled via standard cell signals, a tactic Russia itself has often used in Ukraine. The drones also used autonomous targeting software powered by artificial intelligence. That software was trained using high-resolution models of Russian bombers displayed in a museum in Poltava, Ukraine. With this data, the AI could recognize and strike key parts of the aircraft like the wing root, even in poor visibility or at night. The Olenia base was especially vulnerable, as many Tu-95s were reportedly fully fueled, which led to massive secondary explosions. Just 3 days before the strike, Ukraine's United 24 platform reported that Russia had recently concentrated dozens of bombers there, including Tu-22M3s, Tu-95s, and An-12 transports. Now they paid the price for that concentration. Whether the actual number is 8 or 41, the strike's impact is undeniable. It's a clear demonstration of Ukraine's ability to hit deep into Russian territory using a combination of intelligence, infiltration, and advanced technology. Even the most conservative estimates make this one of the most successful sabotage missions of the war so far, and potentially a turning point in the air war. The Ukrainian side claims that all agents involved in the operation returned home safely. This implies that they left the country before the attack occurred. Meanwhile, reports from Russia indicate that a truck driver was arrested. He had been seen running around in a panic after drones began launching from his vehicle. He reportedly told authorities that he had no knowledge of what was happening. According to his statement, he had only been instructed to drive to a location and wait for someone to meet him there. This would mark yet another Ukrainian operation using an unknowing civilian, similar to the Kerch Bridge bombing, where an explosive device was smuggled via truck and detonated, again with the driver unaware of the deadly cargo he was transporting. Post-operation, multiple burned-out trailers have been spotted, with video footage showing one such trailer already ablaze. Part of the side paneling had detached, yet a civilian is seen approaching the truck, just moments before it explodes. While we will not show such graphic footage here, it serves as a reminder of the lethal risks involved. There are still uncertainties regarding the extent of planning and execution of the operation. Another video has surfaced showing a destroyed trailer at a location where no drone strike was officially reported. There's no confirmed geolocation for this footage, so it might be misinformation. However, there is speculation that a second attack was intended against an airbase in Amur, in Russia's far east near China. In this possible case, a trailer was found burned out on the roadside, possibly due to a failed detonation sequence or malfunction in the drone deployment mechanism. What remains unclear is whether these trailer destructions were intentional parts of the Ukrainian plan or simply mission failures. That contradiction suggests these were likely unintended failures, which could also explain why only 116 of the 150 drones were actually used in the operation. Now, the key question: what does all of this mean strategically? Russia's inventory of strategic bombers is limited, especially when it comes to heavy bombers. The Tu-95 and Tu-22M series have not been in production for years. Restarting production of the Tu-22M would be extremely difficult, and for the Tu-95, it's virtually impossible. The Tu-160 is still technically in production, but at an extremely slow pace. At this moment, we don't have definitive satellite imagery confirming the extent of the damage, but those images are expected soon. If the wreckage hasn't been cleared, we should be able to analyze the level of destruction in detail. Strategically, this attack forces Russia into a defensive posture across its entire territory. If drone strikes can originate from within Russia itself, then every military airbase becomes a potential target. This would require Russia to construct hardened aircraft shelters, protective hangars reinforced with concrete, to shield valuable aircraft from drone or missile attacks. These are costly, especially for strategic bombers with large wingspans like the Tu-95 or Tu-160. Such hangars must be self-supporting without central beams, making construction complex and expensive. While Russia has built some hardened shelters on the Crimean Peninsula, they are by no means universal, and this attack demonstrates that they are now essential at every base housing strategic assets. Even if Russia manages to secure its bombers, other targets remain vulnerable. These drones can also strike fuel depots, refineries, and fuel convoys. A fuel truck hit on a bridge, for instance, could set the structure ablaze and cause serious infrastructure damage. This occurred on the Kerch Bridge, where a passing fuel train ignited and caused months of disruption to the railway link. Russia's vast size and dependence on rail transport make such targets practically impossible to fully secure. Furthermore, the implication is that Russia will now have to dramatically expand its inspection of incoming cargo, particularly containers crossing the border. This has already happened before, and we can expect Russian officials to soon announce through which border the drone-laden trucks entered, possibly again via Armenia, Georgia, or Kazakhstan. To prevent recurrence, Russia would need more scanning equipment, more personnel, and much stricter checks. This would severely slow border trade and could trigger large-scale logistical backlogs. From a military response perspective, we should expect a retaliatory strike within the next 4 to 10 days. Historically, following significant losses, the Russian military has launched high-profile counterattacks to reassure its domestic audience and nationalist circles. It is likely that the next wave will be a record-setting drone or missile barrage, possibly directed at symbolic or high-value targets in Kyiv, perhaps even the presidential palace. But the damage to the Russian bombers can't be undone. According to the 2024 military balance, Russia had approximately 57 Tu-22M3 bombers, 31 Tu-95MS, 6 Tu-160s, and 3 more Tu-160s undergoing testing. If Ukrainian sources are correct, about 34% of Russia's strategic bomber fleet has been neutralized in a single strike. This is a colossal loss, comparable in scale to the British attack on Taranto in 1940, where the Royal Navy effectively knocked out half the Italian battle fleet in one night. That attack forced the Italian Navy to retreat and abandon operations in key regions of the Mediterranean. The parallel here is apt. This Ukrainian drone assault could similarly cripple Russia's long-range aviation capabilities. However, we must also introduce a caveat. Each Tu-95 can carry up to 16 Kh-101 or K-55 cruise missiles. In practice, Russia typically launches far fewer, 4, 6, 10, maybe 12 per aircraft. That means even with just 2-3 Tu-95s operational, Russia can continue its strike operations against Ukraine at current levels. It won't necessarily reduce the frequency or intensity of missile attacks in the near term. Russia has never hit its maximum launch capacity anyway. Also, due to their age, these bombers are rarely fully loaded in order to reduce wear and tear. Still, Russia maintains this bomber fleet not just for Ukraine strikes, but for global power projection. The Tu-95s are the aircraft that regularly fly around Japan or toward the US West Coast in shows of strength. Losing a third of the fleet severely limits those missions. Fewer intimidation flights, fewer global signals of nuclear reach. The loss also affects deterrence posture. These bombers form the flexible wing of Russia's nuclear triad. Crippling them weakens Russia's second strike capability and its sense of strategic security. While a nuclear response to this incident remains extremely unlikely due to the enormous cost and consequences, the psychological impact on Russia's leadership is significant. In conclusion, this was not just an impressive tactical strike, it was a strategic earthquake. The Ukrainian message is clear. If needed, we can hurt you deeply, and again. A third of Russia's long-range bomber fleet may now be gone, and even if Ukraine does not gain immediate battlefield advantages from this, it sends an undeniable signal. Russia's home front is vulnerable, and the war is becoming costlier in ways the Kremlin may not have anticipated. Whether or not this drives Moscow towards serious negotiations is uncertain. But from Ukraine's point of view, this is part of a broader strategy to make the war so painful for Russia that continuing it becomes less viable than ending it. And that pressure campaign just entered a whole new phase. For more updated about that developing story, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.